There's something truly unsettling about a true story, isn't there? That feeling when you realize the darkness isn't just in movies. It can creep into everyday life. Today we're sharing some personal accounts that are genuinely disturbing, stories that show just how fast the ordinary world can flip into something, well, terrifying. And our aim here isn't just to share scary stories, it's to look at how these seemingly normal situations turn so dark, and maybe understand a bit more about these unsettling sides of human experience. We've got 5 accounts today. Real stories from the people who lived through them. Each one gives us a glimpse into these moments of intense fear and danger. Okay, so our first story. It takes us back to Uruguay around 2003. It's about a 14-year-old girl and her best friend, Maritza. They were inseparable, like sisters. Grew up together, families were super close. Maritza lived with her mom, who was single, and her grandmother. A pretty normal life, it seemed. Then Maritza's mother starts dating this guy, a foreign guy. He said he was Spanish, but the narrator remembers his accent was off. Funny, she called it. Maybe Italian, maybe something else, but not Spanish. And there were other weird things. He claimed he was rich, but he was staying in this really rundown, dingy hotel. Yet he had pictures, right? Pictures of a fancy house, red sports car, him at the Eiffel Tower even. It's kind of sad thinking how trusting they were. So after only about a month and a half, Maritza's mom drops this bombshell. They're moving to Spain. Like in 6 or 7 months, this guy had promised her this amazing, luxurious life. Maritza and her mom would go first. The grandmother would join them later. Now, here's where the narrator almost got pulled into it. The guy, seeing how close the girls were, invites her along for a month-long trip to Europe, to help Maritza adjust. Imagine being 14 and hearing that. A whole month in Europe. She was so excited. Started dreaming about visiting Maritza at her new mansion. Even her parents, who were cautious at first, started to kind of warm up to him. She got a job as a waitress, saving every cent for that plane ticket, got her passport ready. But as the date got closer, reality hit. She just didn't have enough money. Not even close. Her parents couldn't afford the rest. Then, about a week before they were set to leave, the guy actually came to her house, offered to pay for her ticket right there. Her parents said no. Politely, but firmly. No. The narrator was absolutely furious, said she'd never talk to them again, locked herself in her room, just devastated. She did go to the airport, though, to say goodbye. It was incredibly emotional, lots of tears, hugs, promises they'd see each other next summer. But they never did. Maritza and her mother, they were never heard from again. After that goodbye at the airport, just silence. The narrator describes the grandmother's pain, just agonizing. Sleepless nights, waiting by the phone for a call that never ever came. Eventually, they were reported missing. And this is where it gets even darker. What did the police find out about this guy?
Well, the chilling part is he used his real name. So when the police in Uruguay contacted authorities in Europe, they found he had a huge record. Spain, Italy. We're talking serious offenses, drugs, prostitution rings, even kidnapping and extortion. The police conclusion was stark and, frankly, horrifying. They believed Maritza and her mother were most likely sold into a human trafficking ring. And sadly, this fits a known pattern. It's a tragically common tactic. Predators target vulnerabilities, maybe financial struggles or just the dream of a better life. They build trust, make promises. The police mentioned too many similar cases. These operations can be sophisticated. Once victims cross borders, they can become almost untraceable. Records showed they landed at Seville Airport, and after that, nothing. Complete disappearance.
Just vanished.
Exactly. And the thought that haunts the narrator, she says, is if my parents had said yes, I wouldn't be here today. She still looks for Maritza on Facebook sometimes. That tiny flicker of hope. The grandmother, tragically, passed away in 2013. Never got any answers, never saw them again.
God, the finality of that, the what if. It's truly chilling, that kind of invisible evil. It's terrifying. But sometimes the threat isn't invisible at all. It's right there. Our next story deals with that, a direct, terrifying encounter. This one comes from a guy, 25 years old at the time. He's walking home late, like 2:30 a.m., through a pretty rough area after being out. And he admits, maybe not his best decision. He stops at one of those 24-hour adult stores. He goes into one of the private video booths. Dark, puts his quarters in, the screen lights up. But then he notices something, like movement near the button. He leans in closer and sees it. A small hole drilled through the wall. And an eye staring right back at him.
Oh.
Yeah. Instant disgust, embarrassment, right. He just immediately left the booth, walked out of the store fast, didn't say anything. So he's walking home, feeling creeped out, but thinking, okay, at least I saw it, I'm out of there. But then, maybe 5 minutes later, he gets that feeling. That prickle on the back of your neck. Someone's following him. He turns around quick. And there, about 100 feet back, across the street, under streetlight, is a man. Mid-50s, longish gray hair, pale face. And the narrator described his eyes as penetrating. And the weirdest part, he's holding something. Looks like his own shoes. In his hand.
Holding his shoes, that's bizarre.
Right. Super unsettling. The narrator's fear turns into anger for a second. He just yells out, "Fuck you!" as deep as he can make his voice. And surprisingly, the guy turns around and walks the other way. So adrenaline's pumping now. Fear, anger, relief maybe. He just bolts, runs all the way home, gets inside, locks the door, and finally collapses into bed, feeling like he's safe. But it wasn't over. Around 4:30 a.m., something wakes him up. He listens. A few seconds pass. Then he hears it again, unmistakable. The click of a cigarette lighter. Right outside his window, his ground floor window.
Oh no, right outside his
Well,
window.
imagine that. 4:30 a.m., that sound. Knowing someone might be right there. He said he was paralyzed. Didn't hear anything else, but just lay there, frozen until the sun came up. When it was finally light, he looked out. Nobody. He grabbed a baseball bat, went outside. The guy was gone, but he left something. Scratched into the dirt under the window, 2 words.
Slice you.
And then it looked like it was meant to say my apartment, but was cut off or smudged. Slice you my apartment.
That's more than just a threat. That's pure terror tactic. Bringing it right to his home.
Exactly. It's such a violation.
Yeah.
What's the psychological impact when a threat like that follows you home, finds where you live?
Well, it fundamentally shatters your sense of security. Your home is supposed to be your sanctuary, right?
Yeah.
When a stalker demonstrates they know where you live, that they can get that close while you sleep, it induces intense paranoia. The narrator mentions being terrified for the rest of his lease, barely sleeping. Even moving doesn't fully erase it. There's always that lingering fear that what if I run into him again? It forces you to constantly be on edge, to rethink your safety in ways you never had to before. It's a deep psychological wound.
A wound that might never fully heal. Okay. From that kind of targeted stalking, let's shift to a violation in a seemingly safe public space, a place you'd least expect the mall restroom. This account is from a woman. She'd had a stressful week, went shopping with friends and, retail therapy. Afterwards, she needed to use the restroom at the mall, so she goes into a stall. While she's in there, she notices shadows moving under the gap in the stall wall. Didn't think much of it at first, figured someone was just walking around. But then the shadow seemed like it was coming from above her, like something was blocking the light right over her stall. It happened again. And then a third time, she looks up and she sees it, a phone and part of an arm. Leaning over the top of the stall partition, someone was filming or taking pictures of her.
That's horrible. Absolutely violating.
Right. Her reaction was immediate. She yelled, "What the fuck, you fucking pervert!" Just pure shock, then this wave of fear. She bursts out of her stall, looks around, the main bathroom area, empty, nobody there. But then she glances at the row of stalls, the one right next to where she was. It's closed, still shut. She makes run for the main restroom door, but it's locked from the inside. Luckily, it was just a twist lock so she could turn it. But as she's unlocking it, she hears the door of the stall next to hers open behind her. She yanks the main door open, gets out, and as she turns, she sees a sign hanging on the outside of the door, "Closed for maintenance." A sign she swears wasn't there when she went in just minutes before.
So he locked her in and put up the sign. Planned.
Exactly. She panicked, started screaming for help, running down the corridor towards the food court area. Luckily, 3 guys heard her, rushed over. She quickly told them what happened. 2 ran towards the restroom. The 3rd went to get mall security. It's terrifying, trapped like that. How could someone just vanish after security and police got involved?
It highlights a real vulnerability in seemingly secure public spaces. Even with a quick response, perpetrators can often find escape routes. The source mentions staff-only corridors, fire exits nearby. These offer quick, often unmonitored ways out. And the anonymity is deeply disturbing, isn't it? Someone can commit such a violating act, instill that kind of fear, and then just melt back into the crowd or disappear through a back exit. It leaves the victim feeling incredibly exposed and anxious, even in familiar places. That sense of safety is just shattered.
Shattered is the right word. That anonymity is terrifying. But our next story. It involves a face-to-face encounter, and it takes a turn that leaves the narrator with a lifetime of guilt. This happened in Albania. The narrator, who was 23 at the time, used to spend summers at her grandpa's farmhouse. It was really rural, huge place, miles from town, basic tech, old computer. She loved exploring the woods nearby with her grandpa's 2 German shepherds. She was also a hunter, trained with rifles since she was young. Comfortable in that environment. Okay, so one afternoon, she's walking the dogs down by this beautiful, clear river, pretty isolated area. She spots a guy on the other side of the river, tall, back towards her, wearing black jeans and a hoodie. Which is weird, right? It was like 80 degrees out. Why a hoodie?
Definitely stands out.
Yeah. She called out, asked if he was lost or needed help. He completely ignored her, didn't even turn around. So she felt a bit uneasy, walked on, putting some space between them. Then she hears splashing. He's crossing the river. She turns back. He's just standing there on her side now, staring at her, eyes wide. She said he looked almost surprised, like he hadn't expected her to be there, even though she had just spoken to him.
Strange reaction.
Very. She tried to just brush it off, kept walking, but then she noticed he's following her. He's picking up the pace. She turned again, asked him directly, "Do you need something, sir?" She felt a bit more confident with the two big dogs, but still. Then he started walking towards her much faster. That's when real fear kicked in. She didn't know this guy, his intentions, if he was armed, nothing, so she ran. Smartly, she cut through some woods, didn't lead him directly back to the farmhouse. She managed to lose him, she thought, and got home. Decided not to worry her parents about it. Big mistake, maybe. That same night, she goes to bed, wakes up around 2 a.m., hears leaves crunching. Right outside her sliding glass door, she hoped it was one of the dogs. Lay back down, facing away from the door. Then, seconds later, a shadow falls across the door. Pure shock. She slowly turns, sees the silhouette of a man standing right there.
He found the house.
He found it. She lunged for the bedside lamp, turned it on, and grabbed her grandpa's old rifle that she kept nearby. She tried to sound tough, told him to get away, but admits her voice was kind of squeaky, shaky. He just stood there for a moment. Then, he pushed the sliding door open. It wasn't locked properly. He stepped inside. She said it felt like he knew she wouldn't actually shoot him. That's when she screamed. Screamed for her dad. Her dad came bursting in, saw the guy, and the intruder immediately turned and fled back out the door into the woods. Her dad was furious, grabbed the rifle, and fired a few shots into the darkness after him. They called the police the next morning, but without a clear description or direction, there wasn't much to do. She still didn't mention seeing him by the river earlier. Okay, here's the devastating part. About 2 weeks later, she sees the local newspaper. Headline: 18-year-old boy murdered in his sleep. And the picture below the headline.
Don't tell me.
It was him. The man from the river. The man who broke into her room. Same guy. She recognized his face, that same surprised expression she'd seen by the river. Her parents tried to keep the full details from her, knowing how much it would destroy her.
That is unbelievably tragic, the weight of that knowledge.
Exactly. The guilt she carries. What can you say about that kind of burden, believing you could have prevented a death?
It's an incredibly heavy burden, almost unimaginable. The narrator lives with this profound what if, the constant thought, if I had pulled the trigger, if I hadn't hesitated, maybe that young man would still be alive. It transforms the initial fear and violation into this complex, enduring guilt and regret. The encounter is no longer just about her own survival. It becomes linked to someone else's death. That figure, that man, likely haunts her not just as a threat she faced, but as a symbol of a tragedy she feels, rightly or wrongly, she might have averted. It's a deep psychological scar.
A terrible weight to carry. Okay, for our final story, we shift back to a public place. But this time, it's about quick thinking and intervention potentially stopping something horrific before it happened. This takes place in a small McDonald's, small town, southern U.S. The narrator works there. It's around 7 p.m., lobbies busy, families, kids playing in the play area. Normal evening rush. The narrator's busy, but she hears a man's voice, kind of low, almost a whisper, saying, "So how old are you?" She looks over, sees this very tall guy, shaven head, red shirt. He's talking to a little girl, maybe 5 or 6 years old. He's also got a little boy, same age, sitting up on his shoulders, and the kids seem happy, giggling. Yeah. The man seems friendly enough, smiling, but the narrator says something immediately felt wrong. Red flag. Her thought was, these kids clearly aren't his. They look nothing like him. And why ask the girl her age? If you knew them, you likely know that already, or wouldn't be your opening line.
Good intuition. Paying attention to the details.
Definitely. And then she heard the line that made her blood run cold. The man leaned closer to the girl and said, "You should come with me now. I have a little brother who's 6'2". Let's go play with him."
Wow. Just like that. Brazen.
Right. He starts walking towards the exit door. Boy, still on his shoulders, little girl following alongside him. The narrator didn't hesitate. She immediately started moving towards the door to intercept them. But just as she moved, the kid's mother, blonde lady, came out of the restroom. She saw them heading for the door and yelled out, "Hey, where you guys going? Get over here!" The tall guy just froze, absolutely stopped in his tracks. The narrator said his eyes went wide. He looked fucking petrified, caught red-handed.
Mother's timing was perfect.
Unbelievably perfect. She ran over, grabbed the girl, reached for the boy as the man quickly put him down. The guy started stammering, trying to explain himself. "Oh, I was just playing with them. They're really nice kids. I just really like kids." Just rambling nervously, trying to smile. The mother, she put on this tight, fake smile, but the narrator saw her eyes. Pure rage. Screaming, "Stay the hell away from my children, you creep." But out loud, she just said calmly, "Oh, well, I'm glad you had fun, but we need to order now." She pulled her kids close and walked them back towards the counter. The guy practically ran out the front door. The mother didn't let those kids out of her sight after that.
That's incredible presence of mind from both the narrator and the mother, acting on instinct.
It really is. A potential tragedy averted by trusting that gut feeling and acting immediately. How vital is that kind of quick response in these situations?
It's absolutely crucial. This story is a chilling but also powerful example of why vigilance matters. Attempted abductions often happen quickly, brazenly, relying on catching people off guard. That initial red flag, that gut feeling the narrator had, is so important, and the mother's immediate assertive intervention stopped it cold. Her controlled anger, that fake smile, while her eyes conveyed the real message, it's a perfect example of parental protective instinct kicking in under immense pressure. It really underscores that danger can appear anywhere, but so can courage and quick thinking.
Absolutely. These stories, they really stay with you, don't they? Each one is just a stark reminder of how fragile safety can feel, how quickly things can turn dark in places we think are normal, safe. As you listen to these accounts, what really stands out to you? What strikes you about how easily innocence or just ordinary life can be disrupted by something truly terrifying?
I think what's most unsettling is how thin that veil between normalcy and danger really is. These stories aren't happening in some far-off, exotic horror setting. They're in malls, homes, near rivers, fast food restaurants, everyday places. They force us to confront the reality that threats can emerge unexpectedly, often hiding behind a mask of normalcy or friendliness. And they remind us about that difficult balance between trusting others and maintaining necessary vigilance. The impact on the people who live through these moments. It's profound and often lifelong.
Well said. If these stories resonated with you, if you found them as chilling and thought-provoking as we did, please do hit that like button, share this deep dive with someone else who might find it compelling, and definitely subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. Your support really does help us keep bringing these true accounts, unsettling as they sometimes are, to light.
Stay vigilant out there. And remember, the best things happen in the dark, but unfortunately, so do the worst.